is July, August. So in July and August they didn't work. But except July or August, and in 10 months everything was discovered the way you see today. Later on they reconstructed it. Not much has been done. Not enough to my
But they always knew where Masada is.
We always knew. I was here in 45.
So you knew Masada
For the
was
first
here.
time in my life I was here, it was 1945, and there was no ramp, and there was no cable car, there was nothing. We climbed up from the ramp. And the last, let's say 6 or 8 meters, which is there, we climbed up with ropes.
Oh, so people have been coming here before 69 then.
Sure, but it was excavated on 69 70.
What did you see on the top when you got here? Just
We found
was this all covered over or what?
up to the wall. You see the line?
Yeah.
Black line, it was covered.
Just up to here.
It was covered over
Yeah, it was covered over. We have to dig it.
to get to the top of the line here.
Where do you get workers to come out here?
This is reconstructed.
Workers were slipping down there on the other side in tents,
In here.
and they were coming from there, walking up on the ramp.
But you have professional archaeologists here and all that.
Of course. I'm telling you that most of those people who came volunteering, most of them were students of archaeology. And for them, for an archaeology student, to start with a dig that you know that you're going to find something, that's a great thing. So a lot of them came over, and even today, a lot of our excavations which are done with lots of archaeology students from all over the world who are coming here knowing for sure that they are coming to dig something that they are going to find, especially in Bet She'an today.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. Now, this was a quarry, but this was an open quarry, not like what I showed you before. And you can see how high the black line is over there. Meaning the whole thing was covered. We didn't know that the quarry is here until we excavated it. Unfortunately, I was not here. I was not in Israel when this one was done. Unfortunately. I was at the time in Zambia. You heard of Zambia? That's where I served for 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years. And take a good look at that. These are the rocks that were broken out of the quarry. Which means they didn't try to make it flat. They didn't try to make it nice. At the moment, the way it was broken, the way it was put to the wall. And see how it is used. They put the large stones and they support them with small ones. So they actually balance them with small stones on below. Can you see it? And then on the top you see the same thing. We still use the same system, so it will look very much alike. But on top you can see some of the cement, like here. You see the cement up here? Which was not there when this was built. That's the only difference. But we try to do our best to use those rocks the way they were quarried out of the quarries. And the same thing we had from the large one, from all the water systems actually, not from this one that we saw. So they brought it, they broke it out by a very simple system, very, very simple. You can easily say primitive, but very effective. They used to dig holes in a line in the stone, fill it in with the water, and then push into it a piece of wood. Now when the wood sucks the water, it like expands and it cracks the rock. And this is the piece they took to put on. The way it was broken. Actually, we are quarrying today at the same system. Only today we have the diamond drill that drills in, and we put a few fingers of jalanite or dynamite, and we blow them all at the same time. So it cracks the stone off. That's exactly the same system, only at the time they didn't have the dynamite either, or the diamond drill. But the system is still the same.
When they come up here to dig,
Yeah.
did they bring any kind of machinery, pneumatic drills, or everything is by hand there?
The only thing that was brought up to the top was a tractor. And we brought a tractor with a chopper.
Yeah.
Landed down up there on the top, and that's it. The tractor is still here.
And it's
The
all by
tractor
hand.
is doing like cleaning off the area after digging. Everything was done by hand.
By hand,
Everything
not
was
to
done by
destroy anything.
hand, in order to keep it as much as possible.
That's archaeology. He dusted off, keep
That was built by Herod the Great. And then with two aqueducts, he led the water into huge water cisterns, which are on this side very low from the top. And then slaves used to carry the water in buckets.
But how did they have so much water up here? Enough to wash
That's what
it?
I'm saying. They carry the water from the huge water cisterns underneath by buckets, and they poured the water into a pool. From this pool, don't break it. It's 2,000 years open. They used to carry it by hand, pour it into the pool, and from this pool they did little channels that were filling one water system. When this one was full, it flew over to the second, to the third, and so on, until the last one that we saw below.
Is this a little room here, Nair?
This is a large house.
Oh, this is a...
It's one house. This is the entrance to the house. And see how large this is. This is one room, this is one room, this is one room. And we have another two rooms over here, which I want you to see.
No. Have to ask him, where's the original gate? See how cool.
See the difference?
Yeah. I want this room. This is a cool
No, take the
room.
second. The second is cooler.
Oh, okay. Fight over the rooms. Look how
Wait, you may get to Herod's palace at the end there.
That's the coolest.
That's the
spot.
coolest from the north.
Now take a look. This is the room in which people used to live. And you can easily say that Herod took good care of his people. He even painted with paintings, beautiful frescoes on the wall. Actually, these frescoes were taken off the wall. They were sent to Italy for a certain chemical process, so it will last longer. And they were brought back and installed at the same place. At the same place they were taken off. It's a great job to take such a fresco off the wall without damaging it. And our people did it. They did it. They took it. They sent it to Italy. They brought it back and they installed it back. That's, as you say in English, a heck of an exercise. It's a real great thing to do. Now let's go and see the second room, which is just across.
See if they'll let us in there. Maybe somebody's in the room. Knock on the door.
What is this question on the downstairs?
Bathroom?
No, give me this. I heard that story. Give it to me.
When Herod lived here, when did he abandon this place before the Jews came?
I mean, how much time?
This one is
That was unbelievable.
King Herod.
You want a nice picture through this window? It's a beautiful picture.
Is there another oven there? They
Yeah.
cooked in
But that's the difference. The other one was the daily oven, which they used during the day. But I told you about the differences in temperatures between day and night. So this was probably used at night in order to heat the room while they are cooking or baking. And take a look again on this beautiful paintings on the wall. A painting on the wall is called a fresco. All right, let's carry on. See, even here you still have a lot of the original chicken salad.
When was it, that 15?
Huh? One.
He's right now. I'll get there about the time that we get down.
built by Herod the Great. Those where the wood was taken off the roofs in order to build the second wall. See how large it is. And there were many like it. As we go up to the top, we will be able to see them from the top, and then it's a real impression. They were a lot, and they were all full of grain, wine, oil, and dry fruits. Have you ever eaten dry fish? In Africa, they eat it a lot. They catch the fishes in tons, and they hang them, so they will dry in the sun, or lay them on some kind of cloth, so they will dry up. And when they dry up, you can keep it for a long time. It doesn't rotten when it is dry, and you can eat it. They salt it and they eat it like we eat, the seeds of the sunflower. They eat these fishes. So this kind of thing you can do to meat as well, and you can eat it keep it actually for a long time, especially when it comes to dates, which you saw already here, and when it comes to figs or raisins. These are things that you can keep for a very long time when they are dried up. So all these storerooms were full of, including weapons, which the Romans supplied here, which the Romans kept here. So actually they were equipped for a very long time of life with everything they needed. No doubt you saw a huge water system, which is only one of them, and it's not the largest. We have another water system here, which is 3 times as large as this one, and another one which is about twice the size of this that we saw. And altogether about 32 water systems. For this very few people, less than 1,000, it was enough for about 3 years to live with, or more, because they needed very little. All they need was to read the Torah, to study. Let's go a little bit further over here. Yeah. These are not local rocks. Can you see? It's a sandstone. Meaning these were brought from the Mediterranean shore up to here. And this is why they are numbered. You see the number? This is a Greek number, or you can say a Roman number. And the letter, can you see the tzadi? You can see the tzadi here. Can you see this? This is a tzadi. And we have here a chet and a tet and a tav and so on. Meaning, they were marking it so they will be able to put one on top of another and to build a pillar. And you see the bases of a pillar, another bases, and we have also capitals. This is a capital. Herod the Great. Herod the Great prepared this down at the seashore in order to build his palaces up here. Meaning all the buildings were built from plain stone like this, but the palaces were built with this kind of stone, which is easy to put the figure that you like.
How many miles would you say he went?
120 kilometers, which will be about 80 miles.
The pink writing is from Herod?
No, the pink is only put into it, so, but this is, you see,
He pointed to the pink before.
no, this, you see a tet.
That's what I sent you to
It's a tet
college
and
for.
two.
I'm glad I got it.
No, when I said tzadi,
Oh, no, you,
I said
okay.
this is a tzadi,
I saw that, but when you pointed...
and these are numbers. Those pink, that's made by the archaeologists. But this is the main thing. You see the tet and 2,
Right.
meaning another tet with 2
It has to fit
has to
together.
fit in here. And then they put a piece of wood in the middle, and they put it on top of each other, and then they plastered it. So Josephus, when he came over here, he made a great mistake. He wrote that these pillars were one piece of solid marble. Can you imagine? He wrote marble because it was plastered so very beautifully that he thought it to be marble. And how do you come to make a pillar to look like marble? I told you once about it, remember? You see, this is a plaster that has got this tiny little gravel in it. But this is the shlichta. Remember, I called it when we were in Jerusalem in the Herodianic underground street. Remember? So this is the second layer, which is very fine. Now if you put this one all together, it keeps the pillar like one piece, and then you just like smear it. And when you have the green powder or the black powder in it, it comes out like fibers and it looks really like marble.
I'm trying to find archaeologists.
This is Ian Gibbs, top line, archaeologist from Larchmont. Ian, what's your impression of all this?
Pretty good. I could do better though. See, I found this is from. This dates back. They used to shut up the. I thought it was an artifact.
That's a steam bath. Somebody wants? Whenever we normally say it, a steam bath, people are jumping. Steam on Osara in that heat? First of all, remember it's very cold at night. Second, these people were believing in a healthy body in order to get a healthy brain. And by doing that, they needed to clean their body. And they were the first ones to have a real sauna, as we call it. The steam bath, which is real steam. Nothing.
We're about to enter now the public bathhouse of Masada, where there was the Roman bath.
Now, this is the first room in which you come and change, or actually take the cloth off. Only men. Again, no women were serving on the top, just men. So there was no problem. And this benches, and this, whatever it is, we don't know for sure. Now, people were saying that this was a mikveh. I find it very hard to believe, because to a mikveh you get down on 7 steps. Remember I showed it to you? And we don't have no steps, so it's difficult to believe that they use it as a mikveh. But it just might be under the stress of the situation, maybe they use this even this way.
I thought that was like a prayer.
No, mikveh is a ritual bath.
Where did I go?
See above you how high the black bottom is.
Then if you compare it to the religion had to open a woman.
This ceiling here
This is concrete. This is the thing which is above the black line.
this is estimated how high this is.
Yes, exactly. And this was the cool room where only cold water.
Please come in, the last one. So we are here in the dressing and relaxing room, the apoditarium.
Take a look down to that corner. You see on both sides is like a bench, and behind the bench, between the bench and the wall, we have like pipes made of ceramics. Can you see that? There and there. Now we used to have here 2 floors. The lower floor, where the water used to be, and on top of this little pillars, another floor. Water were underneath, and they were heated by the stove of this side, so the steam could have come through these holes upwards. This is why we have the ceiling up round, so when it condensates, it won't drop on our head, it will like slide down and be reheated. So very simple. You got the picture? All the walls were actually decorated with like, you see the marks? Like tiles of ceramics. So it was easy sliding down and being heated again. That's all. And you can see how many. I told you already that about 150 years ago was a tremendous earthquake in Israel. And a part of this storages fell down to this side. If you're coming to the edge, you can see that the wall does not bend. Take a look at this room down here. Take a look, you see? You know that the wall, the outside wall, collapsed and fell outside. And this was probably one of another storages because it's a huge long room. You see here, it's about 30 feet long. So it was maybe another storeroom. And all these, you see here, it's a very long room, probably another storeroom. And we don't know exactly where the wall was, because all this area actually was like cut by the earthquake and fell down. We are coming now into what we call the North Palace. Feeling this breeze, you know already why the North Palace was built out on the northern edge. Because of this breeze, Herod the Great built here a small palace with only 4 bedrooms on top. First of all, the sun is a little bit to the south from Israel, so always on the north you have some shade. So it's cool already. And then you have that breeze, it makes it the coolest spot on the top.
ססטה, אז אני אתפוס את המקום הזה.
זה טוב, אבל כשנכנסת כשאני מדבר זה לא היה טוב. אני לא הייתי נכנס. אם אתה היית מדבר לא הייתי נכנס לחדר. עוד דקה. עשיתי את זה קצר בשבילך.
בסדר, מה, לא הפרעתי לך.
According to your knowledge of real estate in Israel, what would a 3-bedroom apartment here go, like on the top floor, with a swimming pool?
Wait a second. This is not just the top floor. It's paradise. Why? You have, first of all, you have 3 other stages underneath. This is the top. It's like building an apartment on a roof. A penthouse. So you're paying for a penthouse here, not just for an apartment.
One of the kids here wants to
Wants to buy one?
winter home here. This was the
You
winter
think we
home,
can
wasn't
help
it?
him? Sure.
Come on, Greg.
Help us out.
Amy. Amy. Come over here, please.
You mean we're not going any higher, James?
I think this is it now.
How can we go down? Right here? Oh, okay. Before you go into explaining where we're at now, just to finish up this a little bit with King Herod. So after he dies, supposedly in the year 4, how many years passed before the Jews came?
Up here?
Yeah.
They came up here on 70, when Jerusalem was destroyed. And on 73, Masada actually fell. Meaning they left them a little until they finished the business on top,
Do we
and
have
then
any
they
idea-
came up here.
Do you have any idea how many years Herod was here?
Herod was 40 years the king of Israel. And during these 40 years, he built this place too, among many others.
Did he actually get to live here before he died?
Yes, we know that he was here quite a few times. He even used to rule from here, being afraid to stay in Jerusalem. That's why he built such a huge palace on the western side. Arika, have you been once in a king's bedroom? You're not.
King's what?
A king's
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my gosh.
I think
Now
they,
you can
I
go
think
home
they need new
and
curtains.
tell all your girlfriends that you have been in a king's bedroom. Just don't tell that the king was not with you.
How do you know?
They got the tape measure?
That's easy.
They found
Let me explain. Herod the Great built here 4 bedrooms. One of them is here. Can you see that beautiful mosaic floor? And this was like the corridor in between the two. So here was the second. And you can see the wall here. Take a look. This is a part of that. You see what a thick wall? And this was the second bedroom. On the other side were another 2. Can you see the square here? And another one over there. So you're standing within. If she won't believe you, send it to me. Anyway,
Where's the closets?
wow, that's a beautiful question. I'll show you. As we will come over, I will show you. Actually, one of the closets was very down below on what we call the 3rd floor. not the first, the third from the top down, because it was built from the top downwards. And they built like a stairway that was like a pillar, surrounded by a wall on four sides, and between the wall and the pillar, the stairs were built up to the top. The second floor is about 20 meters below this one, and over there were only 3 bedrooms that were open to the north, so this beautiful breeze could have come into them.
Where was the kitchen?
Kitchen was in a large palace, and they were serving him from here, over here.
They had MRE,
But I have a
meals ready to eat. Yeah, like they have with
That, yeah. Give me a little flair. Are you okay?
You know, I may have no film
Let's go
in
up
there.
here.
You don't waste the pictures, Greg.
Stripped off, naked. 2 slaves carried him and put him to sit on top. He was doing whatever he did. And underneath, you see like a doorway, was another, like a water tap. They took him in and they washed his ass, excuse me for saying it.
Wash that one out.
So he was all by his own, on his own. This is the terrace in front of the 3 rooms 20 meters below. And there's another one which is 15 meters below where this closet used to be. Was a small bathhouse and a closet and a huge square terrace. Over there, the 3 skeletons were found. Down there. The one who found it was our military attaché in Washington, Abraham Adan. You remember the name, Abraham Adan? A general in our army? He was here and he was the first one to find it. And together with him was an archaeologist by the name of Shmoryahu Gutman. And you will be never able to describe the joy of these 2 people when they found it. It's unbelievable. They wrote me to Zambia. They were so excited. All right, let's get it.
That's where
Good. And I finally got interested in something. So I'm finally.
technocrat. You ever hear of a technocrat? Or technocrat, or whatever you want to say.
These are the water systems that were filled in by the 2 aqueducts built by Herod the Great. And they started over there. Come over here, I'll show you. See this riverbed? You see like a line of bushes coming down into the riverbed? Where it ends, you see like steps? This is where the dam was built. And from there, the 2 aqueducts were leading the water into this water systems. And from this water systems, water were carried up to here. And this is why it is called the water gate. The slaves used to carry it up to here. Here they poured the water. And from here, with little channels, the water were distributed all over Masada, filling all those small and large water systems one after another, until all of them were filled in. And again, the one that we saw was the last on the row, the lowest one. Again, if you go over here, the little hill that you see from here, with like a blue sign on top, you see the steps coming out? This is where the 3 skeletons were buried in a full military ceremony. That very large camp that you see over here, you see like a small camp within the large one? This is the camp of Silva, the general, the Roman general, who was commanding building the wall. Actually, after building the ramp, there was no battle. So he was like commanding the siege and building the ramp to the top. Okay, let us carry on.
Don't drop the camera, Enid.
Now, as we entered, you saw a sign saying that this is the oldest synagogue in Israel. Well, there is something in it, but it's not totally correct, and I would like to make it clear. This building was not built as a synagogue, first of all, so it cannot be the oldest synagogue. What happens here is that this was built by Herod the Great as a center building for the Jewish people who were working for him on the time. Meaning, it was like a house of gathering, which is actually a synagogue. If you translate a synagogue from Hebrew, it is Beit Knesset, a house of gathering. But it was a house of gathering to discuss problems, even to pray. You can pray anywhere. Makes no difference when you're praying, as long as you pray. But it couldn't be a house of prayer, which today we mean when we say synagogue. Because the house of prayer was only one, the temple. And as long as the temple was there, all these were like community centers. A place that you come together, you join the Hokkah. They used it, probably, as a place to pray. And if this is correct, then this was the first building used as a house of prayer after the destruction of the temple within Jerusalem. Meaning, if they wrote here the first synagogue in the world, it is correct only in this meaning, that this building that was not used as, was not built as a synagogue, was maybe used by the zealots as a house of prayer, and maybe they even sacrificed here some sacrifices. So this was the house of prayer for them immediately after the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem. If this is correct, then this is the very first synagogue of the world, meaning used as a synagogue. It does not even point to Jerusalem, so it couldn't be built as a synagogue. But this is no doubt the place where they took their last decision. This is where they decided if God does not want us to leave, and if we cannot leave according to our belief, it means that God does not want us to leave. Let's have God and do what's right. And the right thing to do when we cannot leave anymore is to see that no one will leave under slavery, meaning he won't be able to accomplish the laws of God. Any questions? None? Yes, this is normally where we do it. But you can do it anywhere on town. This is when Masada fought.
After the common area. And the temple was constructed
On
70 years
70.
before.
70, meaning 3 years before. 3 years before Masada
When
fought.
did the concept of a synagogue didn't arise until the temple was destroyed? There were no synagogues before.
Yes, they were.
The only
But they
means of
were
prayer
as
was
you
the
translate it
sacrifice.
from Hebrew. House of gathering, not house of prayer. That's the only difference.
I'm sorry. Idiot.
Exactly. Do you?
I got the video, the whole concert, from beginning to end. It was a very dramatic moving with a Russian. They made a call to Russia, and it was it's something you could really cry. I forget now how the ending was. I got to watch it again. The tape. And they placed a live call to somebody who was looking to
come to Israel.
come to Israel. It was a very moving ending to the. And Gregory Peck made a wonderful final presentation.
Yeah, he was like a conferencier. Now take a look. We have here the camp where Silver used to start. We have here the grave of the 3 skeletons that were found. Over there was the wall or the dam that was capturing water. And here is the dam, the ramp that was built. You see here? This is the ramp. It was eroded. Normally it should have been about 3 meters below where we're standing. But it was eroded in time, and you can see all the rocks that fell on both sides. But this is where the Roman came up and broke through the wall here. Meaning here they busted in. This is exactly the spot where they busted in. Just behind us was the wooden wall that was burnt, and this is where they came through when they found all the dead bodies. Let's go on.
You see the The ramp coming up.
Which one is the?
This is
This
the
thing in
ramp
the middle,
here.
this white thing?
This white thing, it came all the way up to just 3 meters down below here. You know, it was like they built a mound,
Right.
and that's
That
what the
area
ramp.
right there,
Huh?
that thing right there is where they
It's soft. And then they let it get hardened, and then they laid the mosaic on it. Meaning they made the sketch first, and on it they put the mosaic floor. Very careful. So here we found a lot of mosaic stones here, small pieces. Maybe with a chance I find one too. I don't see any now, but it's always this way. When you look for, you won't find it. But here, all the area was covered, meaning the whole courtyard inside was covered with beautiful mosaic floor. This was open, but all around were roofs, and these were probably burning, and the furniture's inside. So all this area was found full of ashes, and here we have a very large water cistern underneath. You see the opening over there, where the bars are, you see? And this one is on the outside wall, and a bit further out, meaning it is about twice as large as the one that we saw.
The king's bedroom. Did he have covering for his head?
Sure.
What was it?
Wood.
A headdress? What?
There is almost no rain in this area, remember? Almost none. Very, very little amount of rain falls here.
Stop it. Carol, he doesn't want you to do it.
It's a little sharp. Now take a look here. This is a bathroom.
Bathroom?
Yeah, where they took a bath, where they took a shower. Not at all.
Okay.
That house. And this is the most important.
Oh, what a cool breeze coming in.
Oh, yeah, feels nice.
The reddish stones are reddish from the south, in that area, and the yellow stones are just like
Cleanliness?
Go against the gate now.
Cleanliness?
Cleanliness of weapons. Cleanliness of weapons. Because once you go into the bathhouse, you have to take off all your clothes. You take your weapons off. And then they were given the red toga as to make them known important guests. And then they went in carrying no weapons. So many places. And here is the bathtub. And this is what we call the dry toilet.
What? Dry toilet. Oh, dry toilet.
He used to hold it, he used to do it, and there was another dry closet here, between these two walls, and after sheeting, he would have taken down to that hole to be washed. So even that he was carried. Watching and seeing these people splashing in water, they got mad. And here you understand the psychological battle up here. This were the holes where they used to put the cloth and jump naked into the water.
Wait till they make a movie out of that and you see the water splashing.
Kills you off. Right.
But they did it because he said the Romans were wherever over there they could see. I've got a good background there. Only take you with that picture background. Stand around. Across. Doesn't matter. Or something. Oh my God.
else is
Yeah,
all?
monks.
Там есть вода.
They are coming from Yugoslavia.
Это построили.
They bring the girls up in late at night.
It's an Orthodox.
Were the trees always there?
Им приносили, они приходили в Яреху
Now
покупать.
from that there, how do they reach
Они
that?
теперь
This
еще
road
есть.
doesn't run all the way
No,
to
no,
the
no.
Oh,
There's a road out there. Can you see? Along the aqueduct, you see the aqueduct? You see where the tree is?
Yeah.
Oh, was toch? Wat je?
Get lower.
You want to take a picture of me?
Far back.
You want to take a picture of me?
So you can see down there, it's like a continuous of the aqueduct, which is up here. It goes down into a siphon that brings it up again on the other side, and there is the one that goes actually down to lead the water down to Jericho.
Well, where did the water come from originally?
We have here 3 springs, which are collected together into that aqueduct. The first aqueduct was built by Harold the Great, which is 2,000 years ago. And this one, which is renovated, is built on the same route that Harold the Great.
He was into
In
water.
other words, it's not the same
Is there water
aqueduct
below?
that he has.
No, it comes from
It's not the
spring.
same anymore,
Do you
but
hear water
it's, oh,
splashing?
it's the same route. Meaning it's the same one, only it was renovated.
I thought that. Jack.
Because without water, forget about
Get
it.
out here, Jay. Only 5 months. Yes, of course. You hear the water falling down here. You see the aqueduct
Yeah.
coming down?
See it
This
going
is
down
where you
the
hear the
hill,
water.
Erica?
יש להם שם איזה מים.
Wow. You get a shot of that?
You know that for hundreds of years, they were self-sufficient.
Throw the rock.
And they were self-sufficient. Meaning they were producing whatever they needed to live on all by themselves. Only from the water of this aqueduct. They have like a small garden which has got almonds.
Go, Zach. Stay up here, Zach.
You know the, how do you call it, the pomegranate. They have figs, and they have a small vegetable garden. They have enough to live on if they want to. Today they bring from Jericho, it's very easy, it's very close. Actually, if you have a car, to drive from the road that comes down to Jericho, it's 5 minutes. But you still have to walk down. There's no way to come with a car down to the monastery.
Is it beautiful in there with all those mosaic tiles and all of that?
No, it's very old and it looks dirty and full of smoke, but they have beautiful, let's say, ornaments which are made many years ago and renovated. There are special people who are painting, or let's say repainting, the old paintings. So this is repainted. So it looks like it's a little bit modern, but it's very ancient.
This is a Catholic.
No, a Protestant.
This is Protestant?
Yeah.
They have no families?
No, they have no.
They're celibate monks
Yes.
in Protestant?
No, they don't have to be, but they are actually not Protestant Orthodox.
You know, we're just like
It's a Greek Orthodox
gotta look down.
monastery.
The archway.
Well,
But they
Greek
have no women.
Orthodox is not Protestant.
No, it's a Greek Orthodox. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Greek Orthodox. Oh,
Oh, that one.
well, they don't have
And
to be
they are
celibate.
actually coming from Yugoslavia. Those monks who are in there today
Oh, that's
are
Greek.
coming from Yugoslavia. Actually, the Byzantines were Orthodox. And this was built by
I feel like we're on a
Byzantines.
Hollywood set.
They have here like the scalp and the bones and from Justinianus. You know Justinianus, who was he was the Caesar at the times of the 60s.
crosses over there.
Horses? No.
Yes.
Horses?
Crosses.
Crosses? Yes, of course.
One.
Binoculars. Oh, gee, look.
Who's got my
You see
binoculars?
another one up here.
No, the boys
Oh,
take
this
it?
one, yeah, this one.
And there's another one on the other hill. And as we will be going further on, you'll see some more. The crosses is a sign that from there you can see the monastery. But this is not the one that you're talking about. The other one
No, I
is
know,
much
yeah.
larger.
Uh-huh.
Now you see the little building at the entrance?
The entrance is on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that we have another one of 3
Yeah.
floors.
Yeah.
Just above this one. In the middle of the way, the halfway up, you see like a hut.
Uh-huh.
There's a monk there.
Let me take you a
Living
picture,
there.
Arlene.
for the last 30 years. Never came down. Can you see it? Now, on the very left-hand side, you see the wall, like 3 large steps in front of that cart.
Yeah.
Behind it, they built only 2 years ago a huge church, which is very modern. Just to bring all over there the materials to build it, it's such. Wow.
The church
What a
is
task.
used by the few people that live there. Do
No,
visitors
no.
come there?
It's the Orthodox world who built it for them. The Christian Orthodox people who gathered money and built it, but not by the monks.
How many
I
people
know.
live there?
5.
5 months.
5 monks.
But let's say on a Sunday, do visitors come to attend the
A
service
lot of
there?
people. No.
They can't go in there.
Yes, you can go now then if you like.
Oh yeah?
Yes, you have to pay 1 shekel entrance fee.
Too much.
How do you get in there? How do you get in there?
There's
Yeah,
a
there's
road
road.
going this way up on this mountain. And you can actually see the bridge that you have to go through. You see the bridge down there?
Yeah.
Then you have to walk up there. You can't ride up
you
there.
have to walk. There's no other way.
These monks, do they spend
I
a
see.
lifetime
Yes,
as a monk?
yes.
They don't,
And they're not Catholic. Oh yes, they are. They're Greek Orthodox.
Not
Are,
quite.
they're, yeah.
Can you see the waterfall down there?
Say yes, say yes.
Looks like a small waterfall within the aqueduct. It's because of the turning around.
Right there.
Where?
right there.
Oh yeah, I see it. I see it.
Where?
Over there. Over there.
You see the aqueduct, but you see water?
Follow the aqueduct all the way down there.
And now it's north of us, Jericho.
Wow.
Very hot. Take a look. You see the goats?
Oh, in here, Zach.
Wow.
So this is the goat shed. And the Bedouins, the people, are living in a tent.
What do they get for
Isn't that nice?
That's 3. Got 3 in here.
That's expensive. Like a 3-star hotel.
I can't get a shot of this. Can't see anyone.
That ripped me off, Mom.
Gina, are you taking it?
Oh, of course.
Take it down. Put the bottle cap on it.
Back a little bit. What's up?
There you go. Put a bottle cap on it.
Wanna get here?
Jackie, look at the nose.
Can you see it, Jim?
Yep.
So the white ones are there.
Here, you can get on.
That movie has
Some of that little one in the corner was talking.
It's a huge theater. We'll see it in a minute. No, theater.
A theater.
Only theater shows and some other things.
Standing and seats.
No, this was called vomitarium.
Vomit in there?
Yeah, exactly. This was one side to get in or out. And this was the vomitarium. You know what it means to vomit.
Yes.
At this time, the Greek and the Roman period, they used to feed themselves until they were stuck up to here. And then they came up here, they put a feather in, spit it all out. This is where they did it. And on the edge was like a small kiosk that you could have eat something or drink something in order to clean it. And then they went down to eat again. All from the beginning. So here you have the vomitarium. Somebody feels like vomit, I can help you with a finger.
Can you smell it? All right, never
It's
mind.
not anymore.
Sign up there, Pukeria.
Come.
It's safe to walk through here?
Well, I'm working here for the last 40 years. Nothing happened to me yet. So let's hope that we can make it another 400 years. It stands 2,000 years.
I think they built this for the tourists there. Wow.
He used the vomitarium.
I have nothing to give you.
Take it home, Mom.
So the
Look how,
stairway was
oh,
up
he's,
here,
oh, he's
going
so
all the
thin,
way up
he's
to the
dying.
second floor
Oh,
of
I'm
seats, which
sorry.
is
Oh.
gone. And it was gone because the population of Beijan stole it. They took it and they used it as building material. Here it was all covered, so they didn't touch it. Take a look. This is all original. Come over here and take a look at the picture. Come here around. These pillars were put lately. They put it on like a lathe, and they drilled in the middle quite a few holes, so they can put it together with a piece of iron inside. Few of them, not one. So it keeps it in the shape like the way it used to be originally. Can you see it? These were found on the ground, like it fall down and was breaking very close to the middle in the most weakest spot, and that's how they put it together. You see here that most of the seats are original. Most of them. I can easily say 95% are original. Only the steps getting down were worn out, so they reconstructed them. They filled them in. But they were worn out. Take a look at this picture and you see how huge this used to be. Can you see it? You see this? This is the stage down there, which is rebuilt, as you can tell. We have only this seats, which is 5,000 seats. It used to be here, the second floor, and the third floor was built over this ruins that we saw on the other side, like an arch, and on top of it, another line of seats. Altogether, this was a place for 7,500 people to sit. And you see behind the stage, the wall? Remember Caesarea? This wall behind the stage is missing. Here we have it. That's the original. It was mended a bit, but this is the original. But behind it was a building of 3 floors. And this building of 3 floors, too, they used it to their theater shows. See what a huge area used to be here. Now behind it, it's a street, which is one of the main streets of a Roman city that was destroyed in an earthquake and reconstructed by Byzantines and again destroyed in an earthquake. Many, many earthquakes here because you know that we are actually in the middle of what we call the Syrian-African Rift. This is a part, or let's say the main part, of the let's say the largest geological process that was ever happening in the world, the one that cut the continents by a huge earthquake. And this is a part of it. That's why the main building material here was the lava rock, as you can see it here. You see how they filled it in with rocks, and then they built on top of it the seats, like you can see them down here. Let's go backwards, and I want to make a short round walk around so you can see.
It's amazing. In 3 years, there was nothing like this here.
This was excavated the last 3 years. And a lot of it is reconstructed.
By hand, it's amazing
But
how
this
they-
was here.
just not the whole thing like this here.
This was here. This was here. But these seats over there were not reconstructed.
No.
And this bridge was not. Yeah. Just the beginning.
I know I took it out of a mosaic. This wasn't here at all. This wasn't here. This was here. Absolutely. When we came? Absolutely. Gene, you remember taking the...
Active.
Come on.
No, wood.
It's wood. The stage when we were singing, remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Accessory, all
Did you
right.
look this up? Did I see the archaeologists working?
Like this.
Or they think,
Sure.
oh, right, just this
100%.
How many are on site working?
I have no idea how many now because it changes very quick.
Right, but at its height.
Most of them are volunteers. Most of them are students, archaeologists,
Right, I understand that.
coming from all over the world. You name it.
It's not the
Lots of
same
Americans.
Mr. Butcher? I don't know.
Yeah, she said she's coming.
I was working here on last
She was here.
Let's go.
August.
Let's move it.
October. She said something October.
Yeah. Nava is coming here in October.
October.
Yeah.
This October.
Yeah, she's booked here for a month or 2.
Has she already been here?
Yeah, she.
All right.
We'll point out the detail, Carol. You getting the detail? The detail. supposed to touch them. You're not supposed to be over that line. Is that what that is? Uh-oh. We blew it. We blew it.
Hello? Basalt stone. Next to it, you see the floor? It's marble, meaning Roman period. You see this mosaic floor? If you take a look, it comes to the columns. It's not to the bases. It's a little bit higher. It's about 6 inches higher than the Roman floor underneath. And they didn't know that they have 6 inches lower a floor, and they built on top of it. This mosaic. This is Byzantine. Somewhere between the 4th and the 6th century. Typical Byzantine floor. All these cabins here along that wall used to be cabins that belonged to the bathhouse, and this is a huge bathhouse. You see over there in the middle? That's a hot water bathhouse, or you can easily say steam bathhouse, like the one that we saw in Masada. Same system. Very much the same system. And these were like cabins in which they could have taken hot water baths. But these little cabins here were built by the Byzantines, meaning we have here a mixture of the Roman and the Byzantine period. Let's go further on.
These are cabanas. These are cabanas.
Here's the
And that's the
cabinets.
jacuzzis. That's the jacuzzi.
It's
That's the
cabins
cabanas.
and cabinets.
Nothing has changed. They still have.
That's where the cabana El Dorado came from.
This was stoves.
Mother, let me grab your arm.
They were heating the water, and the water came down into that room. You see over there? Which we have the pillars like we have on Masada, and the floor on top. So this was a steam room. And the second and the third were steam rooms. This kind of cabins that we saw here, built by Byzantines, we have on the other side as well. That it is built from, these bricks are standing against fire, and it's like isolation. Well, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Here, come here.
זה הבעיה שלי, לא שלך. אתה תשמור על עצמך, אני על עצמי. עוד תתנצל. אין שום מקום להתנצל, אמרתי בקול רם שישמעו אותי. אתה עוד מחנך ילדים, תסתכל Anyway, this is a channel that was leading hot water to these cabins all along in order to have a hot water bath. And behind it, you see like a small swimming pool. It was not a swimming pool. It was like a pool that was filled in with hot water, and they stay in the second, just behind the pillars. And down there, for the entrance, you can see these pillars that were made like Masada, that on top of them was the second floor of the steam room. And you have 3 steam rooms here, one, the second, and the third over there. Now, if you go a little bit further on,
So these were all public baths, is that it?
and if you take a good look, you see a cross inside, which is the Maltesian cross, which means that Crusaders who came from Malta on the 12th century were still using this place. 12th century, 800 years ago. And we believe it was built somewhere between the 4th and the 6th century after the great earthquake. So it means it was in use for many, many years. Now, whatever we see here was destroyed by earthquakes and not by man, not in war. Maybe this is why, when we came here first to dig, all the pillars were like falling in one direction. And you can see it as we go further on. We can see some of the pillars which are still down. We will see it very clear how they fell all on the same direction. And they were all broken very close to the middle or in the weakest spot. Some of them fell down without breaking. And we can see some of them completely laying down. Let's go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This here, let's say, 3 years ago, was just covered over that whole thing
Yeah.
because there's no.
Even here was another 4 meters.
Where we're
About.
standing now was
Yeah.
4 meters higher.
Yeah, higher. It was like a hill coming down to the theater. Can you see the tree over there? Take a look at the eucalyptus tree.
Yeah.
This is about 3.5, 4 meters above where we stand.
And that's the height that this was.
Yeah. About. I don't know for exactly.
Yeah, I know.
It was covered much higher.
How was this stumbled upon?
I was what?
To dig this, was it just like
Oh,
serendipity?
again, just a coincidence. There was no reason that we can find written somewhere or what to say here you can dig. But the theater that we saw, the hippodrome that we saw outside there, is just across this here. At the end of this street, you see this street that goes all the way up? We'll see it in a minute. At the end of it, it was like leading to the hippodrome. Meaning that during that earthquake, most of it fell apart and the Byzantines filled in whatever was missing. Like you see, all these cabins are Byzantines. But this floor and the other floor down were Roman. So it's all mixed because of that earthquake that actually just changed all the formation of normal layers one above another, and we have it mixed all over. All these cabins here, which are around theaters, were actually built by Byzantines. And we can see beautiful mosaic floors down there. Let's get closer. Some of them. Herodian ornaments that we saw so many times all over. And you can see them up here. You see, actually all these are Herodian ornaments that were adopted by the Byzantines. And this is a Byzantine floor. We have here, in one of these cabins, a beautiful, like a picture of a goddess on the floor, and it was stolen. They cut it out, and they lifted it up, and they stole it. And it took us about 6 years to find it and to bring it back. And at the end, the one who stole it was one who does not understand anything in archaeology, and he broke it into small pieces, and he was about to sell it. And our people came on to look for it as to buy it, and that's where they found it. And he was so very ignorant that he didn't even mention that these are actually police people who are looking for it and not people who are looking for treasure. And he asked a lot of money, but next to it, you see the Capitol down there. Next to the Capitol, we found a skeleton. And next to the skeleton, a bucket full of gold coins. This is one who ran to save his gold and did not save his life. He probably ran for the gold and got killed by the earthquake. We assume that the pillar, or maybe just the Capitol, fell on him and killed him. I have a sad story too. Take a look what a beautiful, huge area was built in the center of the city. This was like the center plaza. And the 3 streets that we found already, this one, and the one that goes down, we will probably find another one, or maybe even another one on this direction. But this was like the city center. And on top of this hill up there, we found 2 Egyptian temples, which we are still digging. Let's go on. and see it. Can you do it? Can you chop off a pillar and make it stand this way? Never in the life. But nature is much bigger, much stronger than we think. You can see the line of pillars going this way, meaning here was another street. And believe me, there was a street. We found it a little bit further on down. The continuous of it. But see here, all this rough work was built by Byzantines. And you can tell that over there was like a little bit back. So you have here something very old, that into it was built something new. And this is a typical Byzantine, very simple floor. So this was built afterwards, after the destruction by the earthquake. This was built by the Byzantines. And we have another one. Take a look at that. This is not clear enough to be read, but this is Latin. All this belongs somewhere in this place. And you see these large capitals? These are Doric. That was the Doric, like two huge, let's say, round circles. And on top of it was the pillar. And on top of the pillar, I saw before one of them over there, you see? Capitals.
Of course.
This is the library. So every single house, every single room is used, fully used. Now, Gania is now 80
Watch it,
years.
let him get through.
It's going this. Gania is 80 years old. I was born in Gania 10 years after it was, not 10, 9. I am 72 years, and my parents were one of the first in the kibbutz. We'll go afterwards for a few minutes to the museum. You'll see the picture of the 10 first, and you will, there is my parents.
It's
Where
a
did you-
very interesting picture.
Where did your parents come from?
Russia. All the first people in Gania came from Russia. Gania started with a little group, 5 people or 6 people, who came from a town in Russia, and they called Romanei. The Romanei group, how it started. And then they worked in Hedera. It's a colony in the middle of the way from Haifa to Tel Aviv. And when they started the Gania, they called the Hedera group because they was collected in Hedera. Now, the Gania started as a agricultural place. And not only agriculture, it's only crops without water. They grow wheat and barley. That's all. And oats. That's all they start. Then when they wanted to mix all the other things of agriculture, they start by buying a cow. And my mother should be the cowshed woman, the cow milk, the milkmaid. And when she started, the Arab woman taught her how to milk the cow, and she started, and the cow didn't give milk. So she started crying, and she went to the Arab woman. She said, "What can I do? How can I?" So the woman, the Arab woman, told her, "Of course she wouldn't give you. You have to wear clothes, an Arab clothes, with the smell of an Arab clothes, and you have to sing her an Arab song." So she said,
but I don't know this, and I can't wear. I don't have an Arab clothes. She gave her her clothes, and she taught her an Arab song, and she sang. And since my mother worked in the cowshed for 47 years, without stopping a day.
And she sang the same song?
Yeah, no, after she didn't have it.
No, after all this year, the cows were singing.
Oh, the cow.
So now Ganya is not living on agriculture. She
Not
have
on agriculture only.
No, not only on the diamond factory. Part of it is agriculture. We have a factory for industrial diamonds.
Cutting the diamonds? Or?
Not
Industrial diamonds.
Industrial diamonds.
Oh,
That
not
means we get dust of diamonds. We mix it with something that it's the secret of the factory. Even I don't know what it is.
It's a secret carborundum.
Yeah.
And what's the product?
And you
Industrial diamonds.
it's saws to cut. If you have to polish.
I see.
Everything works harder than steel. If you have to work stones, cement, marble, or everything works harder than stone, than steel. You have to work with diamonds, and that's what they do. They're doing a source, a round source, so begin with 5 centimeters, which means 2 inches, and finish with 3.5 meters diameter. That means it's double than my height. A blade. Ganya have now almost 350 members. They have 600 heads. That means 200 children first, and then all kinds of people goes and stays and goes.
High school. You have a high school too?
Yes,
or they
we
get-
have a high school, and we give not in the but very near here. It's
Very
a
close.
high school for all the children around, not for Ganya,
The whole region.
Right.
all the region. And the elementary school is also belong to 5 kibbutzim here.
And all the teachers are members
Not
of the...
all of them, most of them, but not all of them. Let's go. Picture of starting of the Ganya, before the Ganya was born. This is the place where Ganya is now.
This is the outlet of the Jordan River
Yeah.
from the Sea of Galilee, and the Ganya was built in this corner.
This is exactly where the Ganya is built now. This is the 10, some of them missing here. Two people are missing, I don't know why, but the picture is 10 people, 9, and it's 2 women and 7 men, and the first group was 10 men and 2 women. And
took the
there-
He took the picture.
Who took the picture?
The one that's not there.
Not one, 3. Maybe one hold the camera and
Maybe you have the pictures on somewhere?
no. It's interesting thing. They looked over all the papers and all the any place they could, and they don't know who was the 10th man. They know 9 men and 2 women, and nobody know who was the 10th man, but they know it was 10th man. And all of them died already. And this is the barrack they lived in, and the office was in. Here is the picture of the barrack.
When they came here, did they have to purchase the land?
They had to walk the land.
They bought.
To
so they-
purchase,
buy.
to buy.
No. The land belonged to the Kerala Kayemet.
Jewish
Until
National
now.
Fund.
Today the Jewish is a
National Fund.
national fund. And till now, it not belong to the kibbutz.
But the answer is yes. The National Fund bought it.
Yeah, they bought everything.
Yeah.
Now look at
That's his
He was-
brother.
And after he was born, came a man,
Oh, that's his
came one of the members of Ghana and said, we have to decide that until the kibbutz is not able to treat people, to let good life to people who born here, we have to decide not to give birth to any other children. The kibbutz didn't get this advice. But anyhow, the man who said it gave birth to the second child of Ghana, which was Moshe Dayan.
Moshe Dayan was born here.
Yes, Moshe Dayan, no, Shmuel Dayan was the father,
Yeah.
but the kid was Moshe Dayan.
Was born on the
Yes,
kibbutz.
he was born here.
I said he was born on the Ganya.
Yes,
Huh?
he was born yesterday, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was told that time by when we went.
Here is a picture of Moshe Dayan. This is Moshe Dayan. They haven't changed at all. Just give him a patch, and it's exactly the face.
Isn't that something?
This is my sister, my older sister. That's my older brother. That's another preacher.
Where's your picture?
I'll show you the best picture
The
somebody
best
took of me.
You must have been a beautiful baby.
Wait.
Oh boy.
Oh, my God.
Let's see.
Are your brothers and sisters still living?
My brother died 2 years ago.
And your
Which one?
sister?
He's the
And
baby in the
no,
middle.
No, she's not in this kibbutz.
Uh-huh.
She's in a moshav in the south of Israel. But anyhow,
Where is he? The baby.
That's
There.
Amos,
There's
Amos.
the
Yeah. And here I am, up there, in the picture up, the tallest.
The tallest one on the right.
No.
No, in the middle.
In the middle.
In the
Blonde hair
middle,
with the
in the middle,
suspenders.
with
The
the
suspenders.
suspenders.
Oh boy.
And this is not to see for ladies.
It's not to see for ladies.
Oh, those little boys.
And here I am, and here I am.
You were driving in 1930. Wow.
No, it's a very historical picture. Now, in the 80th year of Ghana, they took the same people, with exception, this boy was killed during the war, during the independence war, and another one, this girl didn't want to be in the picture, but they took a new car, a 1990 car, and they took us all in the
Same picture?
Yeah, they made the same picture.
60 years later. Oh my
60?
God. 60.
Oh,
1930,
Yeah,
1990,
yeah.
60 years. Maybe they got different arithmetic on it. What's that?
Look at his parents.
we've changed a little bit.
But they've gotten older.
This is 1920, 21, this picture. And that's all the members of Ghana in this time. Melchior in Ghana, and she walked all the
She sang
time.
a good little.
She said when they started to milk the cows with machine, she said, it's not for me. I have to feel the cow in my hand.
She said it and everybody understood.
And yes, she said it, and she left the cow shed.
Now you have machines that do the
Yes,
milking.
yes.
They should name the machine after your mother.
Look at the equipment, they had nothing.
Watch that.
Ghana, after the war, after
That's the way it used to look. This was
That's the flag, not a flag. I don't know how you call it. It's Ghana got for stopping the advance of the Arabs. The tank, when you go into Ghana in the gate, I'll go with you out and stop just a minute and I'll show you the tank. Just a minute.
Oh, that little tank out there?
Yes, the little. Oof.
What year
What
was
do you
that?
say? It was so big. It was a giant. It was a giant when he came here.
What year was that? The War of
48.
Independence?
48.
Where did that tank come from?
Syria.
Syria.
And if you have to think that not only the tank was big, but the people of Ghana never fought, not a tank, they never fought in their life.
at all.
At all. And they didn't know how to eat the tank. And when they saw the
That's a
tank,
Hebrew expression, how to eat
Yeah.
a tank.
How
to deal with
when they saw the tank coming on the trench where they were lying, they didn't know what to do. So two people, this and this is two people, came from both sides and they said, we don't have to lose anything. Somebody said that a Molotov cocktail can stop a car, a tank. We'll try. Just try. They didn't think it will do
They
this.
stop.
Yeah.
And they throw 2 bottles of cocktail, Molotov cocktails, and the tank stopped.
Set on fire.
Yeah. That was,
But when I showed some people the tank, I'm ashamed to say, that's what Ghana was afraid of. It's like a toy now. But if you think that the Ghana have only about 20, 25 rifles and a Piat, you know what Piat means? It's projector anti-tank, infantry projector anti-tank.
You know what it is? It's a small spring that you turn it backwards and it slows a small bomb. That's it.
And
Very inaccurate.
my father went then to Ben Gurion and he said, save us, we can't hold. So he sent 2 Napoleonchiki, they call it. It was
Napoleon time cannons.
Cannons, which was on wooden wheels.
Wooden wheels.
Wooden wheels, and it was so big. So,
A little-
and
very
they
little shape.
stood up on the hill, and they shot a few.
And who was in charge of this little two?
No, it was, I don't know, it was somebody from,
Moshe Dayan. He was the one who sent it.
but anyhow, that was all the if you want to ask something, he said you have only an hour. So,
Let me put something more straight, more powerful. As Amos said, there were about 25 rifles here. And these 25 rifles stopped the Syrian army, including 5 tanks that were coming over here. This tank was burned by these 2 people with Molotov cocktails. And you just heard the authentic story. We didn't know how to deal with it. We didn't know how to eat it. It's the first time that these people ever used the guns, the rifles. They never had the chance to do it before. And they just didn't know what to do. But just the determination to know that we don't have no alternative. If we go from here, we are perished. That's what kept them here. And they were yelling for help, and there was nothing to do. The first 2 cannons that came over here were French cannons that were bought for nothing. They were a museum article. And they were brought over here, and they shot over the Syrian army who got away just hearing the shells falling. And this tank, how very cynic, is a French Renault. The tank that you saw just outside, it's a French Renault. Something that was used in World War I.
I know.
Not in World War II, in World War I, and it was still in service in the Syrian army.
Now just look here inside. And of the 5 kinds of coal we found here around. It's the wheat, it's oats, barley, corn, sorghum, and corn. That's the 5 kinds of coal. Now those are the people who was killed during all the wars, members and sons of Guyana. And if you look here, do you know to read Hebrew? Not to understand, but to read. David Lis, Michael Lis, that's 2 brothers. One was killed in the War of Liberation, and one was killed in some other war. Benny Netter and Shaul Netter, the father and son. One was killed in the War of Liberation, and one was killed in another war. Yitzhak Null and Arnon Null. It's also a son and a father and son. The father was killed during the War of Liberation, and the son was killed in the Israeli Air Force afterwards. But you will find it everywhere in Israel. Son, father, 2 brothers. You find it everywhere.
If you remember, I was saying about the sons of the kibbutz being good soldiers, officers, pilots. You can see 2 pilots here. And most of them were officers in the army, which is just like a proof to show you that these people, when they join the army, whatever they do very seriously the best way they can. The determination that these people have is one of the best that you've ever heard, ever met anywhere in the world.
And one is never. אתה תראה להם את הטנק בדרך.
הם ראו אותו בעצמם, אני לא אמרתי מילה, שמרתי לך את הזכות.
אז אני אצא איתכם ונעמוד רגע, אם לא ניתן לראות אותו.
למעשה את הסיפור כבר נתת להם. You saw quite a few on top. Yeah, nice, which is, yeah, take a look. What is it? No, United Nothing. She's right. She knows better.
That's what Benny called it.
Because there's nothing they can do. They really
The
can
white
do nothing.
building is
The UN army camp. And this is
United
like the border
Nothing.
post where a Syrian soldier and the United Nations soldiers are there. Over there, you see a large building behind the trees? This used to be the Syrian, you see over there, headquarters.
Yeah.
This used to be the Syrian headquarters on the Golan Heights. Now it's in Israel. And there's like a small watchtower over there, which is UN soldier. All the way between this one and this few buildings over there is no man's land, and it is cultivated by Israel, by the kibbutz that we just saw in Zivan. All this area
was Syrian?
used to be filled in with these rocks. It was all cleaned off and the rocks were taken away. Now it is cultivated by Israel.
Where was
The
Standing
city
now?
over there is standing in Israel, of course. No, these are the Golan Heights.
Okay, that's where they
You see the city which is destroyed. It's called Quneitra.
Oh, Quneitra.
Quneitra was in our hands between 67 and 73. On 73 they conquered it and went further on, quite a lot, almost to Katzerim. Nobody knows why did they stop. That's another thing that we cannot, God's finger or the fear that they won't have supplies coming through. It's not a large distance, it's only half an hour drive, but still they stopped. And when our reserves came up, was the end of the story for the Syrians. Now, on 73 we conquered it back, but they destroyed every single building there. On 73, being afraid that we are setting some traps, some ambushes. And they drove with the tanks from one house to another and they blew it off. They only left quite a few buildings in the center that you can see large buildings. They left. And they, after we conquered it on 67 and on 73 back, they asked us to have it in order to rebuild the city and bring all the citizens back. You can see that they didn't do anything. We agreed and we handed over to them, and instead of building it, they built a new city. Take a look backwards. You see it
All the way
far
in the back
away?
in the haze,
Yeah. You can see a large city, which is Kuneta. This one was never reconstructed, and instead they built a new city. Probably it cost them less to build a new city rather than to build this old one and reconstruct it.
Like
Besides, it's behind what we call no man's land. Now, all this no man's land is cultivated by the kibbutz. And we have all along the Golan Heights, not only army camps, but a lot of kibbutzim and settlements, which are actually the first, let's say the first spot where they will spot out an enemy if something will happen. So they are like our raiders. And whatever you see except of this kibbutzim, it's not a radar, it's your imagination, and you cannot take pictures of your imagination. All right?
Yair?
Yeah.
Up there. Was that a, like a lookout post?
It's your imagination.
I got you.
You have a good imagination, Donnie, I'll tell you that.
You have a wild imagination.
Beautiful. I think they could see right into,
Can't answer
That's
any
probably
questions.
our
Okay. None above it. None above it. Remember he said
No
that?
way.
are you allowed to look with the binoculars? Is that the borderline case?
No good.
No good,
They
okay.
may be cross if you're looking at it.
Look into the Syrian camp there, there's nobody moving there.
There is nobody there.
Nobody in that whole town.
No,
whole
not the
town
town,
is
in
like
their
a ghost
military
town.
camp. In
It's
their
amazing.
military camp.
The military camp is over there.
Yeah, I know, I was looking there.
You're not allowed to film up there.
right
That's
over
like,
They are there. Maybe they're on training now and they're outside, but
Yeah.
at the barracks of the Syrian army.
There's nobody moving there.
I can see something moving in the back.
Down there somewhere there's a roll.
It doesn't make no difference. This is Syria.
Still Israel.
And over there is Mount Hermon, which is our base military.
Right. Up to there?
Mount Hermon?
That's Mount Hermon.
It's like in the middle.
That was actually first built at the great uprising against the Roman on the year 70 by the one who was later on known as the historian Josephus Flavius. Later on, it was reconstructed by Crusaders, and again later on during the Arabic period, which is the second Arabic period, by a famous Bedouin who was like the, let's say, like he declared himself the king of the Galilee, and his name was Daher el-Ommar. He built it again. But most of the buildings that you see now are built by Crusaders on the 12th century. That's a huge fortress that was like guarding the water which underneath, which is the Banyas. Can we carry on? Jean?
Mom, can I? Donna, can I see the field? Hurry up, we're leaving. Hurry up, Donna.
yes, I swear.
Donna, can you see?
Alright, follow my hand.
I know where it is.
One of our armored forces climbed up here twice. 67, 73. They climbed scoreboards. But on top, always the officers who were first to go to any danger. Let's go inside. Protected, camouflaged. You can't see anything on top of it from a distance, and you just pull your head out to see what's going in front. And this is the way you can guard, actually. We are going to walk through one of these trenches.
Question? Erica, do you remember coming here? What, Erica? No, I say that we weren't here and some people... I don't think so either. Be careful, these are loose rocks.
Like we are going to see here. Meaning it was one set of bunkers here, another set of bunkers there, and if you go in between, there was another set just straight ahead. So actually, if you miss this two, you get caught by the third, and then you have fire from all the three on you. So you never survive. So we attacked this one, and the third at the same time. The edges. Those behind, when they saw that these are taken, they fled away. They didn't even fight. These are all original. The way it was at the time of the Syrian breakthrough.
We can come down this way.
Maybe it wasn't open.
What?
Extra step here. Arlene, watch, there's a step here. Going up. Step up.
You modernize it, Jesse.
Another one up here. Here, watch the steps here.
Ibex. Ibex. Come on in, come on in.
That's poisonous?
You know, I smell that charred smell.
Yeah, that's poisonous?
Is that
Do
a...
you smell the smoke? That's it.
Were in here at one time? How many men were able to fit in this particular bunker?
It's a whole battalion.
Is that sound
600
poisonous?
people can... Not in here.
No, I mean in
In here was a heavy machine gun.
how many?
And what we call, it's a cannon, but it's a... How do you say it in English? I have no idea. It's a small cannon that can shoot like a bazooka. It doesn't have the strike back,
The recoil.
the recoil. But this one is very difficult to shoot with because it blows like fire at the back, so nobody should sit in the back. When they shoot, he has to stand here, and the backfire goes into this. That's why you have it all in black. That's from the backfire. So they will have to stand on both sides, and the one who loads the rocket into
Yeah,
it,
they won't get out of the way when it...
no. He says a rocket in, then everybody comes in front, and the one who used to shoot it cannot shoot it, is not allowed to shoot it, unless he had the hit on his helmet. The hit on the helmet means, all right, you can shoot. And only then he shoots, making sure that nobody is behind the pipe where the blow of fire comes out. And it will be straight ahead. That's why you see it all black. Now, because they were using this, take a good look down. You see 3 kibbutzim very close. One is very close here. The other one is down there behind the ponds. And there's another one behind that hill that was always also fulfilled with Syrian army. Now there is a valley which is a very deep valley down there. we were coming in this valley from behind the kibbutz. You see over there, it's like a plantation of avocados. You see the tall green trees. From there they came at night, and they were ready to jump up at dawn. So they were actually down there in the valley at dawn. And from there they came in three forces on to these three posts. And just take it in consideration. To climb up through this open field, you have about 20 minutes in the open that you are exposed to fire. And they had here the anti-tanks cannons on top. That they could have shot every single tank on its way over here. But somehow they succeeded to get here, and mainly, it was done mainly by infantry. And we will come up in a minute and you see what the infantry left here. This, you see it was hit here? And this actually stopped the fire from this bunker. This was a bazooka. You know what's a bazooka?
Yeah.
It can shoot 300 yards,
Yes.
not more than that.
100.
Accurate shooting. Which means that soldier that shot this one came 300 yards or less close to this bunker, which is like a death sentence. And if you escape this death sentence, you are a hero. You won your life again. And still he came, and from such a short distance he shot and hit this, meaning the people who were in got killed from this shot. And this bunker stopped to fire. Once you stop to fire, it's like I told you on ammunition here. When 5 posts were shot, it opened a gap where we could get through. And this was happened here. This is exactly what happened here. They succeeded to shoot this one, and another one close. As we go out, we'll see it. And this is it. Then we succeeded to get through. Even though we lost a lot of people, you saw the list. It's too many people. But these people dying gave us the right to live on. Take a good look at it again. What could the members of this kibbutz do against this bunker? Just take this bunker as an example. What could they do? Nothing. And see how close they are. It isn't 1 mile, less than, let's say, a little bit more than half a mile. That's all what it is to the kibbutz. You can shoot with a very simple cannon, with a very simple gun, you can shoot over. And this one over there is even closer. We choose to take these two, actually these 3, in order to open a gap, knowing that if we have this, they won't be able to stand against us. And when this one was conquered, and this was the first one that was conquered among the 3, the others behind just fled away. They didn't even shot 1 shot, they just got away. And you know what we found here? We found here some of the Syrian soldiers chained. Their legs were chained to the post, they couldn't leave it. And they were shivering with fear when we came in. We had to bring people to open it and release them and take them as prisoners
That
of
sounds
war.
like the Persian Gulf War when they finally,
Yeah, well,
when they
it's
surrendered.
the
or
same
they were
mentality.
Same type
You
of
know.
fighters.
Yeah.
They just don't have.
happy.
They got a big tongue.
Yeah.
They talk
I
nice.
saw the trains on the bed.
Did they give a name to these 3 bunkers?
You remember Hussein? Yeah, it's called Tel Fakhr. You remember Saddam Hussein talking before the war? What a hero. We are going to make you a bloodshed. You are going to wash your bodies in blood, in American blood. Where was it? Wasn't even in a battle camp.
Gorgeous bunker.
When they came out and they were
Thank God.
thank you, and they were hugging the Americans. You know, it was so cute, that name, Republican Party. That was the final.
No exit to the left? How did they get it?
Yeah, they were, no, they were chained to their posts so that they wouldn't desert. Look at this, how close. Wonder when this was all built.
To the officers' quarters. Private.
You were right there, and then you weren't there.
I went into the officers' quarters.
Oh!
Is control whatever happens here. And take a look. This is what we call half truck, which is used by infantry. The infantry used this half truck, and this is how far they got, and they were shot here. Actually, all those who were on this half truck got killed. But still, our people were coming on, and when this bunker was shot, and the road was actually open, then they took it over. And you see the other one is straight ahead over there. You see the other one? That's the second. And we attacked this one, and the third down there at the same time. That's the only way to open a gap through which we can bust on to the Golan Heights. We're talking 67. Let's go back.
Papa! Get on the tank! Guys, get on the tank! I can't see all.
That was my bed. Automatic.
Your arm is going to Grandpa, when you shoot it, you do that?
Hey, Zach.
When you shoot it, are you like this? What? Cut open.
Right next to this shot, hey.
Let's move, guys. We want to go flying.
They were just driving from one shelter to another, supplying whatever the population needed. A lot of people got away to their relatives somewhere in Israel, but all of them came immediately back. And no one is missing today in Kiryat Shmona. Kiryat Shmona is known as the place who gives a lot of jobs to the Christians from South Lebanon. They are coming through the good fence, which is up here in Metula, and they drive them here to work, and in the afternoon they bring them back so they can get back to their homes in the Lebanese villages. This is the only way the Lebanese can get any kind of income, because there is no job in Lebanon itself. They're working normally in factories. We passed quite a few factories up there. There's another industrial area on the south as we pass it. If you take a look to the right hand side, you will be able to see some tanks that were taken in the wars against the Syrians. And these are Russian tanks. And I must say, knowing a little bit about tanks, that we are very lucky that we fought against these tanks. They are lousy tanks. They are very difficult to operate. They are very inaccurate shooting. It's like ancient tractors where the clutch was still in the hand. So it's very difficult, very tough to operate. And that was nothing for us to win. Still, they were killing people as well.
איפה אתה? למטה על יד ה...
take a look at the tanks on the right-hand side. All this area used to be a lake called Hula Lake. It was dried up by digging deep trenches to which the water was drained, and now one of these main trenches, the deep ones, is actually the River Jordan. And this was all dried up, and since then it is cultivated.
Were these the swamps that they drain? This is it. Malaria, whatever.
This is a part of it. It was actually a swamp, not a lake, but because it was very shallow. 3-4 meters was the deepest part.
I see Ascona is just a small distance from running water.
Did you pull up the street?
We have soil, and it goes out from the soil over there through the wall. But that's very, I don't think there's anywhere to have something like that.
What kind of tree is this?
Fig.
That's gonna take a
Fig
picture.
tree. It's a fig.
It's a tree growing out of a wall.
Next
You
month.
can go under. Go under.
Now, over here, this is the central mosque of Akko. The mosque which was built by Joseph, the one with the tip of Napoleon. And it is also the place where he is buried, outside the mosque. The mosque itself is built on top of a huge water system that was built by Herod the Great. Herod the Great built the water system and covered it with a roof. It's such a huge water system that you can sail on a boat between the big pillars which are supporting the courtyard on which this mosque is built. That's the largest and the most holy one in Akko. Today, all the courtyard is like a school, meaning around the mosque there is like a school which is used, fully used today. Nobody of us can get in because you never go in shorts or with no sleeves. But it's nothing special to see, so let's skip it, let's enjoy something else. I would like to take you now into whatever we can see. We cannot see much of the Crusader city, which was buried underground. We can see just a little of it, but let's see it. The rest of it we cannot see at the moment because they are excavating. And they blocked it, so won't be any damage by accident, and we will be underneath when something falls down. And because they are working outside, some pieces really falling. This young man that you saw me talking to in the shop, he is the archaeologist who is responsible for all the work inside. Unfortunately, they don't work at the moment because they have no budget to go on with the work. So they stop it in the middle.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like New York City.
And he's complaining that the lady who is responsible for the budgets is a very old lady. She's already 25. And she makes decisions not of this world. And he's very mad at her. Because the elections are coming, this people wants to make some show to show the people that they are doing something for the city, and they stop the archaeological dig even though they had the money to do it. And they want to spend this money on some new sidewalks, things that most of the people will see, obvious, and maybe they get more votes, more voters. Let's go inside.
I did.
Crusader wall.
Out. Chase him out. Somebody left the screen open. Down to what?
Not all of it was covered. If you take a look at the smoke, you can tell that it was filled in up to a certain level. See up there? It begins to be vertical smoke. We knew about it, that it existed, but we didn't know how far we could get into the exploration, how deep it may be, and how large it is. This we couldn't know. But you know the story of Exodus and the break into the jail to release our people who were condemned to death. Everything happened here. The jail is just on top up there. And here, they started their operation by trying to dig tunnels underneath. But wherever they tried to dig, on any direction, they hit this wall. Once you hit a wall, you know that you lost this direction and you have to try another. Trying so many times in different directions, they couldn't get through. They decided all the underground units at the time, meaning Yair Stern's, Menachem Begin's, the Irgun and the Haganah together, for the very first time, they joined together to have an operation against the British Army, meaning to break in here with a lot of power, with a lot of soldiers from all the three organizations, and release 11 people who were condemned to death. They were in two little cells next to the hanging room. And the hanging room is up there. I believe you saw it when you visited.
Yeah, we did.
We cannot go in there because they're excavating up there now, and there's no way we can get in. It's too dangerous. All is open, and unfortunately they had to stop it in the middle. And you could have seen the pain on my friend's face if you would have talked to him, because the money goes for something that he don't believe is very important, namely politic show, rather than actually something real to do. And they stopped him in the middle of the work, and he is unemployed at the moment. So he's very, very depressed because he cannot finish it. Anyway, the Crusaders built it on top of ruins that they were here before, using the same foundations in order to build on top of them this huge fortress. And when the Turks came, meaning the 15th century, or the end of the 14th century, they built on top of the ruins that were left by Crusaders. They found some of it, but most of it was covered. And they just used what they found to build on top of it the huge jail that you saw on the top. This is above this ceiling, meaning above the roof of this huge, it's a whole city underground. Actually huge, very, very large. And again, we don't know yet how far we can go on with the excavations. And it's all done at the moment. And will be probably going on in the future. What we found here is called the Knights' Holes, the holes of Crusaders' Knights. And we have here 3 holes. And then we have another excavation that goes on this way that we cannot get in, so we will go around and come on the other side. This was a huge area. We have at the moment, I would say about 300 or 400 meters long, already excavated with this typical arches. Take a look at this corner. You see like 4 heavy pillars on 4 edges, and this is built like 2 arches, which are very strong structure. And it actually can carry a building of 3 floors, which is on the top. Not here, here it is another thing, but up there is the jail. And it's 3 campsites all together, and it's unbelievable. All this, let's say, original built by Crusaders, we can see some of our reparations. Take a look. See, these are new, done with the same kind of stone, which is sandstone. So it will look exactly like the old ones, but you can see the erosion. Here it's smooth. Take a look over there. the wall? So this is the original wall. And the arches are the original. Take a look to the top where some stones are missing and see how they did it. Because they didn't have the cement and they didn't trust very much the mortar, they put the stone on the length, so it will be a very larger space connecting one into another, so it will keep it together. But they didn't build with the heavy stones, only little ones, and this was like decoration. It was not the big heavy stones which are created in the arch. This one here, this is the Parthenon arch. These are the famous Gothic arches. And see, this is a big stone. You see this one, and this one, and this one. It belongs to the arch that was normally put on the edges to create the beautiful arch, two of them together, and we have like the stone, the keystone in the middle, which ends with four edges, looks very much like a cross. This is the typical work of Crusaders, meaning 800 years ago, the 12th century. The Crusaders actually started on the end of the 11th century, 1099, and they were here until 1290, meaning almost 200 years they were ruling our country. Only then they lost it to the Arabs. And when we are coming to the beginning of the 14th century, this is the period of the Mamelukes. Mamelukes were people who were actually born in Russia, taken as prisoners of war to Egypt, educated